You can do a lot of cool things with AI, but you don't need it to build a website. I'm Becca from Inside the Square. I'm a Squarespace expert, and I'm about to show you how to create your own website without the use of any artificial intelligence. We've got a lot to cover today, so check out the chapter timestamps below if you want to jump ahead to anything. But without further ado, I'm going to share my screen so we can get started. Before we jump into Squarespace, I want you to get clear on exactly what you want your website to do. We all have different reasons for wanting a website. For some people, they want a space to add information, to teach people about stuff. Maybe you want to sell things. Maybe you want to have a simple place for people to contact you. Whatever your number one goal is, keep that in mind as we work through this video. Next up, let's talk about the design details. Colors and fonts are so easy to update in Squarespace that I really don't want you to focus on that right now. I'll show you how to make those adjustments, but for right now, put colors and fonts on the back burner. We're going to talk about building the site ourselves, and we'll add those design details later. I also want to mention templates. Many people see the Squarespace templates and they get overwhelmed because there are so many options. But the truth is, your template doesn't matter. All Squarespace websites can do the same thing. So we're actually starting with the blank template. That's right, Squarespace has a blank template, and this is linked directly underneath the video. I want you to start with this design. So let's get into it. Right now, my Squarespace site is setting this up for me. If you don't have a Squarespace account, it's asking you to make one right now. Just follow those steps, and then when you're ready, come back to this video. All right, here we are inside our blank template. On the left-hand side of the screen, this is the program itself, not my website. This is how I navigate Squarespace. This is how I do things like check out my pages menu, change the style of my site, check out my analytics, or look at invoicing. There are lots of options over here, and we're not going to stress over that right now. Over here on the right-hand side, this is my website preview. Now check this out. You see the top option up here? We have this little monitor icon. We're looking at the desktop version of my website. If I click on this, we're looking at the mobile version. Very important to know the difference. Desktop, mobile, that's how you toggle those on. And edit, that's how we start editing the content. But before we get there, let's go ahead and hop into pages on the left-hand side of the screen. This is the list of pages available in my website. And right now, I have a home page. It's in my main navigation, so we can see it in the website preview over here on the right. If you don't want your home page to be a part of your main navigation, drag it into the not linked section. Did you see how I do that? We click and drag. That's how you add things to your menu and how you remove them. Yes, there are other ways to do that, but that's the easiest. All right, now we're talking about building a website as a human for other humans, no AI involved. So what do we need to add here? This isn't going to be an 18-hour video that teaches you how to build the most amazing website in the world. We're going to make a minimum viable site because you can always add more later. If you want to add a blog, you want to add a store, there are plenty of ways to add content to your site after you have your minimum viable site done. And that's what we're going to focus on. So what we really need are these core pages: a home page, about page, offers or services, a contact page, and then legal pages. Now, I want to be super duper clear here. This is not legal advice. I'm not offering legal advice. I'm just showing you how I make a website on Squarespace, but I do recommend that. But whenever I make a website on Squarespace, I always try to have a privacy policy and terms and conditions page. I've got some details on that underneath this video, but again, this is not legal advice. All right, our minimum viable site: home, about, offers or services, contact page. Let's get those started. Back here in Squarespace, we have an empty page, so let's add some content. I'm going to click on edit, and the first thing I can do is add a section to this page. I'm going to select add blank, and here I'll choose the section option at the top. It has a lot more design flexibility than classic editor. You can choose one of these pre-made layouts from Squarespace. They got a lot of different options here that are pretty awesome, but we're making this ourselves. So I'll select add blank, and we'll click section. Now you'll see we still have a blank section, but we have a lot more options than we had before. Add block is the most important one that we're going to work with right now. When you click on add block, you'll see the different types of content I can add to Squarespace. These will create content blocks in my website. We have text, buttons, images, scrolling marquees, clickable accordions, shapes, all kinds of fun stuff. Scrolling down here, you'll find even more like code blocks, tag clouds, RSS feeds. Maybe you want to link to your Instagram. There's a lot to explore. But for this tutorial, let's keep it simple and let's add some text. Clicking on that option, it places this content block here inside my page section. But as you can see, I've got some options to make this take up a lot of space or just a little bit. I'm thinking about half the screen sounds good, so we'll leave it right there. Now I'll click into this text block and we can start writing. I'm going to say how to build a website without AI, and I'll enter a new line and say a Squarespace tutorial from inside the square. That's the name of my business, and I'll spell it correctly. There we go. All right, now we've got some text, but it's kind of basic. So let's go ahead and change it. I'm going to highlight this very first line, and instead of paragraph 2, I'm going to select heading 1. Let's make that nice and big, and we'll go ahead and leave the subtext here as paragraph 2. It's our little subtitle or additional details. I think that looks great. All right, we need a button. Let's go ahead and select add block and add a button. And how about we drag this button down to the bottom of the text, double click on it, and instead of learn more, we say learn how, changing that up just a little bit differently. Now, animation has some really cool new features from Squarespace, so I'm going to click this plus sign, and on a hover, let's have that button grow a little bit. Now it's going to increase in size just a little bit on a hover. Definitely a fun effect to add, and I want to encourage you to explore all those options. Double click on your button block to see all kinds of different animation effects, as well as design settings and content. Personally, I'm happy with what we have here. The next thing I think this section needs is an image. So I'm going to click add block, and let's go ahead and add an image. I'll drag this content block over to the right so it's not on top of our text, and let's go ahead and make it take up a little bit more space. Now I'll have an image on the right, text and button on the left. This is coming along nicely. Clicking this plus sign, I'm going to upload a file from my computer, and we'll go ahead and upload this real picture of me, not an AI-generated one. This was taken by an awesome photographer in Portland, and I'll link to her website underneath this video because I really like her work. It was a fun photo shoot. All right, we've identified our website goal, we've got a button, and we've got an image, but we need to take a look at the mobile version. Clicking on mobile view here, now we can see that we've got the text, button, and image, but I think I would much rather have the image first. So I'm going to drag the image up to the top. I'll drag this button to the bottom, same with the text, and we'll scoot that image back to the center. I think this looks a lot better. Now I'm noticing here that this image is not actually filling the entire container. So I'm going to click on this icon right here, and let's set the image to fill. This is going to make sure it fills the entire container space. Going back to the desktop view, I want you to notice that it's different here. It's still set to fit. We need to click this option and change it on desktop separately. That's something that we can do here inside Squarespace to make mobile look even more unique. Personally, I think it's the right size for desktop, so we'll leave it alone. Again, we clicked on mobile view, we rearranged our content blocks, and for this particular image, I selected the edit option and I said fill, specifically on mobile. Now back into the desktop view, I want to add a little more content before we start getting creative with the colors and the fonts. The design is definitely one of my favorite things to work on in Squarespace, but I think we need some more content here to make it even more awesome. So let's keep going. After we've identified the main goal of our website and said what it's about, let's add a little bit of section about us. Again, you can choose a pre-made section from Squarespace if you want to. They have a lot of creative layouts here, but we'll go ahead and do this ourselves. I'll select add blank, and again, we'll select this first section option, not classic editor. There we go, and let's add some more content blocks. Here, I'm going to add a scrolling block, and you'll notice instantly we've got some filler text that's taking up a lot of space. So let's double click on this and customize it. Instead of Dream It, I'm going to say Squarespace Expert spelled correctly. There we go. This section right here is going to let people know why I'm the right person to help them achieve this goal we identified in the first section. So I'm just going to leave this as Squarespace Expert. Under Design, let's go ahead and slow it down just a little bit. And if you wanted, you can change the text size or even the text style. I'm going to leave it the way it is because we're going to edit a lot of the design stuff later. Clicking into this section, I want to show you two important settings that's going to make this really unique. Under the Edit section option, I'm going to toggle off Fill Screen. Check this out. Toggling off Fill Screen, this content block goes all the way to the top, and we can reduce the size of this page section, so the only thing here is the scrolling marquee content block. Now I'm also going to click on it and pull it all the way to the left and stretch it all the way to the right so it takes up the full width of the page. Pretty cool, right? Now there's one more setting I want us to look at, and that's here inside the edit section option. Click on colors. This is where we can get creative. Now we haven't adjusted our color palette yet, but I want this to be a lot different than the section above it, so I'm going to select the Bright 2 color palette. The background color has changed, the font color has changed, and it's totally different, and I like it. So now we have a text over here that tells people what my website's about. We've got a call to action button, and we have a little scrolling marquee that says, hey, she knows what she's talking about. I think our next section can be a little more details about what we're offering. So I'll select add section. We'll throw in another blank one. There we go. And let's add a text block. That's an accordion. I'll pull this over to the right. We'll make it a little bit wider. And this accordion content block has so much more content than we can see right here. Double clicking on this accordion, I want you to notice this is where we edit the content. Unlike a text block, we can't click into it right here. We've got to double click on it to open up these options. Accordion item 1 is going to be establish your website goal. Clearly explain what your website is going to do. You'll need this for the homepage. There we go. Then after that, we're going to say build your MVS, minimum viable site. Only start with the pages you need and add more later. You can see here as I'm editing this text, we have a basic text editor bar and a quick spell checker. We saw that red underline and we fixed it. Let's go ahead and make the letters in MVS bold because I want people to understand that's what the acronym was for. There we go. So now we've explained we're building your MVS, your minimum viable site, starting with the pages we need, and we'll add more later. Then our accordion item, the third thing that we're going to do is edit the design, is make it uniquely yours. We're going to edit the font and colors to make this website look unique. And that's it. That's what we're going to focus on in this particular website and in this particular tutorial. Let's go ahead and add another text block over here to this section, and we'll say, what we'll do together. And just like we did before, let's make that a heading 1 so it's nice and big. All right, we have this hero section that says what we're about with a call to action and an image. We have a little bit of clarification here on why we're the ones to talk about it, then a little bit about what we're doing together. I think our website is coming along nicely. One final step here for our homepage is to add a next steps option. We'll select add section. We'll go for a blank one. And here, let's go ahead and add a video block because that's what I'm going to show people on this particular page is the video itself. Double clicking on this video block, we can literally upload a file to Squarespace, select one that we've already uploaded, which we haven't done yet, or add a link from YouTube or Vimeo. This is what I do a lot because most of my content is on YouTube, so you've got those options there. We'll just leave that as a little filler space right here because I can't upload the video that I'm literally recording right now, okay? So we've got our video there, but let's go ahead and select Edit Section, and we'll change the color so this section looks a little bit different. Now this is definitely our call to action section, so let's add a little bit of text that says, watch the video to learn how. We'll make that a heading 1. Let's pull the image or the video over to the right here, and let's add a button block. This button is going to link to the blank template we're using now. So I'll double click on this button, and I'll say, start with a blank template, and underneath that, I'll attach the link. I'm linking to a URL that isn't on my website, so I'm going to leave open link in new tab, and we'll place it right there. And now we have an additional section. Let's go ahead and make this headline a little bit bigger. I like that layout a lot better. All right, I just realized we added content, and we didn't check mobile, my friends. We've got to do it. Let's hop into the mobile version of our website and make sure all of these page sections look good. We've got the image, the title, the button, the expert details here. Let's go ahead and make sure that this spans to fill the entire width of the screen. Then we have what we'll do together and our accordion block. Then we have a title, start with a blank template, and a video. Let's go ahead and rearrange this so the button is underneath the video. We'll cinch those up a little bit more by dragging and dropping. We'll decrease the size of that page section, and we've got a lot of good content. I think our homepage is done. Now, it doesn't look that great yet because we haven't worked on the style, but we got a lot of the good stuff done there for our homepage, and we didn't use AI for it. Let's go ahead and select Save, and we'll add our other pages. I'm going to click Exit on the top left-hand side of the page here, and we'll click this plus sign to add a new page. There are a lot of great pre-made options here with Squarespace, so let's go ahead and choose one of those for About. Maybe this one right here is perfect. I'll go ahead and click this option and let's add some of our own content. About is a great title, so we'll go ahead and leave that there. But I'm going to select edit so we can edit the content of this page. I'm going to change this heading to be about my own website. While I do love AI, the point of this video is to show you how to build a website without it. So my heading for my about page will say, we don't have to rely on AI for everything. Scrolling down here, this is the stock photo from Squarespace. I want to change that to the image I've already got on my site. I'll select edit, and under the content tab, I'm going to replace this with an image that I just uploaded so it's already in my library. We'll click Select from Library. We'll select this image here and click Add, and now that's been added to my site. Scrolling down here, we can add some additional text about our story, maybe another image. They've got a lot of filler text here that we can edit. We definitely want to replace this with our own content. I think that's really, really important. But if there's stuff here that you don't want to keep, like maybe this section of images right here, just click the Remove option, and we can remove that completely from our website. Honestly, I don't need a lot of these, so we're just going to go ahead and remove all of these other sections. So we have the title, the picture of me, and then we can add some additional content if we want to. Let's go ahead and remove that one too. I think we're good with the title, picture, and the story. Now, one thing I like to do for all of my clients when I'm building a website is make sure that every page has a call to action, our main goal for our website. So let's go ahead and click Add Block, and we'll add a button to this page section. I'll drag it to the bottom of the text, and we'll change the button to say, watch the video, because that's what we're trying to do, get people to watch the video so they can learn how to create their own website without AI. I'll go ahead and select Save, and scrolling up here to the top, let's select Exit, and I want to show you something pretty cool. You see in my main navigation how it says About and then Home, and over here on the right-hand side of the screen, it says About and then Home. We can drag and drop these pages in the order we want them to be in, and that will change the way they look here in Squarespace. Pretty awesome, right? The other cool thing I want to mention is this little blue dot on mobile view. This is Squarespace telling me that I just changed content and I didn't look at the mobile version when I was editing. It's a nice little reminder that I might need to hop into mobile view and see how everything looks. Personally, I think it looks pretty good, except maybe that image. How about we have that stretch the full width in mobile? I'll select Edit. We will drag this image over, we'll select Save and Exit, and we're good to go. Let's finish adding 2 more pages to our minimum viable site. The last 2 pages that we wanted to add are a services or an offers page and a contact page. Now for the services or offers, it kind of depends on the business you've got. You can sell things directly on Squarespace if you have specific products, physical or digital, or offer services for people to book. Group events, they also do courses as well. To keep this tutorial simple, I'm just going to offer a simple service, which is my Squarespace strategy session, where I can help people for 30 minutes at a time. So let's just make a simple page about that, and we'll start with a blank one once again. We'll add a blank page, and we'll call this one Services. Now here, let's take a look at our desktop page, and let's move services to the end of our main navigation. So we have Home, About, Services. We'll click on Edit, select Add Section, and let's add a blank page. Section, there we go. Now we can start with our content blocks. I'm going to go ahead and add a text block so we can introduce what this service is. And we'll call it a Squarespace strategy session. Book one-on-one time with Squarespace expert Becca Harpain from Inside the Square. And let's go ahead and change this to a heading 1 so it's nice and big. Perfect. And we can include a button block if we want to link them directly to where we offered that service. I'll go ahead and click on this option here so we can edit the button to say book now, and we'll attach a link. I use Calendly, so I'll link to it right there, and we'll place that here on our services page. Now, we don't really need any additional content blocks here, but we could add some. However, I think we should make this section look extra special. I'm going to go ahead and pull this content to the middle. I'm going to highlight all the text and center it like this, and we'll drag this Book Now button to the center as well. Here on the right-hand side of the screen, I'm going to select Edit Section and click on Background. Let's go ahead and add my image as a background for the whole section. I'll click this plus sign, we'll select from Library, and we'll go with the image we've used before, and we'll add it. Now, it's kind of hard to see the text on top of the image, so let's make a few more changes here. I'm going to click on Colors, and I'm going to go for one of my darker sections here. As soon as I click on this, the color of my text has changed, so it's going to be a little bit easier to read on a darker background, but it's still not dark enough. So we'll click Background again, and scrolling down here, let's adjust the overlay opacity. I'm going to drag this all the way over to the right so that we're closer to maybe 70%. That's pretty dark right there. Perfect. Now we have the text on top of the image, and it's a completely different look for this particular website. Squarespace also has shape blocks, which I love to play around with. So let's go ahead and have some fun here. We'll add a shape block. I'm going to stretch the shape block to be around the text and the button, but now it looks like it's overlapping everything and we can't read anything. So let's make some changes here. First, I'm going to edit the shape block so it doesn't have a background anymore. We're going to remove that background color by clicking this option and dragging that slider all the way to the left, and we're going to give it a border. I like that bright colored border, so we'll stick with that one, but let's go ahead and make it slightly smaller or a thinner border. There we go. And last but not least, I'm going to click this layer button here, and I'm going to pull this shape underneath the text and underneath the button. So the button's the top layer here on top of the shape. Now we have a much more unique look for this particular page section. Back here in the mobile version, let's make sure we've edited it here as well. We'll go ahead and pull that shape block down. We will use the layer option to place the shape at the very bottom layer, pull the text block up, and let's pull that button up. And you know what? Let's go ahead and place the button inside the shape. And now our page section is a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink that option. There we go. We'll select save, and we'll go back to the desktop view. And now we have a very unique layout for the services page. Let's go ahead and select exit. I do recommend adding a lot more content here if you're doing services or offering products, but for the point of this demo and keeping this thing less than an hour, let's go ahead and keep going, my friend. I'll click the plus sign and we will add a blank page so we can create our contact page. I'll label this one contact. We will drag this page to be at the bottom of our list here. There we go. Now we'll select edit, add section, and we'll add a blank section here inside our Squarespace website. Now let's go ahead and add some text. So we can say, contact us for support with your Squarespace project. And let's make that a heading 1. Perfect. Heading 1's a little big. How about a heading 3? There we go. And how about a form? We'll select add block and we'll add a form. I'll pull this over to the right. And here you see we already have some of the form fields for first and last name, email, subject, and message. We can customize the heck out of this thing. Click on this option here, and you're going to see a ton of different options for the form fields. Click Edit Form Fields. You can rearrange these by dragging and dropping them. You can change the content. We can delete it. Maybe instead of message, we can say, what's on your mind? Super duper customizable. Now over here, there are 2 things that are very important to know about when you're using a form in Squarespace. The first is email notification. This is set up to send an email to my main inbox, hello@insidethesquare.co. If you click on this option, you can customize it to make sure the form is going to the right place. The next thing that's also incredibly important is the post submit. After someone submits the form, a default thank you message will display, but you can customize it. And I always recommend for anyone building a Squarespace site to customize this so that people know when they'll hear back from you. So here I'll say, thank you for reaching out. We'll contact you within 2 business days. And there we go. This is super customizable as well. Maybe you want this to be a larger style, or maybe you want it to be bold, maybe not. You've got basic editing options here, so definitely explore that and have some fun. We can also change up the alignment as well. Now let's say when someone submits the form, you want to send them to a thank you page. You can do that too by adding a redirect, but a basic message is all we need right now for this super simple tutorial. All right, we've got a form, we've got the contact. Let's select save and exit, and we have our 4 main pages for a minimum viable site. We've got home, and on our home page, we say what the site's for, who we are, what we're going to do, and how to watch the video, which we're recording right now, so there's no video there. Then we have an about page. Then we have a services page that lists what we do, and we have a contact page. We have a basic website done. Now, there are a few more key things we're going to want to take care of before we call this a wrap. You getting bored yet? Maybe a little bit overwhelmed? That's okay. We are covering a lot in this video. Feel free to pause at any time and come back when you're ready, or use those timestamps below to jump ahead to something you want to see. All right, let's keep going. Hopping into edit mode, this one right here is the most important. Edit site header, edit site title. Click on this option here, and I want you to name your website. I run insidethesquare.co, so we'll just list insidethesquare.co, but this is so important. Add a site title, even if you upload a logo to replace it. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. Add a site title, even if you upload a logo to replace it. This site title is used by other parts of your Squarespace website in the browser tab, your SEO settings. It's really important, so make sure you add it. One last time, how we got there. From literally any page, select Edit, Edit Site Header, click on the title, and click this option to add a site title. So important. All right, let's select Exit, and let's start talking about our design, my absolute favorite part of a Squarespace website. This peachy color doesn't go with anything in the picture, and I want to make some changes. I'm also not a big fan of the super basic font, so let's get to customizing. Over here on the right-hand side of my screen at the very top, you'll see Site Styles, this little paintbrush icon. Let's click on that. Now, in the beginning of this video, I said not to stress about any of your design stuff because it is so easy to change, and let me show you how. Let's start with our fonts, which we have right here. I'll click on this arrow option, and I'll select All Font Packs. This displays a collection of pre-made font pairs from the designers at Squarespace. Now, you don't have to choose one of these. We can customize it, but these font packs are pretty cool. They've got some neat ideas here. We have sans serif fonts, serif, and mixed. Let's go ahead and go with this one. How about this interesting font right here? We have Marcellus and PT serif. If we click on this, our entire website updates. Did you see that? Everything has changed. Now it's completely customized with that unique font. Again, pick any of these font packs to explore. Maybe we like this one a little bit better. Maybe we want to do something that's a little bit clearer to read like this. Whoa, that makes my headings huge. I don't like that one very much. Let's go ahead and go back to that first one we tried, which is this one. All right, I like this design a lot better, but let's make some changes. I think that the button should be using the same font as my headings, so how about we update that together? Back here in our Site Styles menu, under Fonts, we can change which font is being used for what. I'll click into Buttons, and instead of PT Serif, we're going to use the other font from our font pack, and notice how it instantly changed. We can make some other customizations here too. Maybe I always want that button to have capital letters. How about we say uppercase? And how about we give it a little bit of letter spacing so it's easier to see? Now we have a very customized button that still fits the unique style of our website. Now this is a primary button. We also have secondary and tertiary. Lots to explore there. But enough with the fonts. Let's get into the colors. This is one of my favorite parts to edit. I'm going to click on this option for colors, and we can adjust our color palette. Clicking into here, you'll see we have this preset. But if we scroll down, there are a ton of suggestions from Squarespace. This one is a super colorful one. We've got this one here. Maybe this option suits our style. Lots of different fun things to explore. Some of them are more minimal and muted. Some of them are incredibly vibrant. But all of these pre-made color packs are available here in Squarespace, and they're all super duper customizable. None of these are really suiting the style that I like for my website, but they are pretty fun to play with. This one's really close, but I think I want to change those purples to be more of a blue like I have in the background image, or maybe even that darker green. So let's explore this one a little bit. We've selected this color palette, and we'll scroll up to the top, and let's go ahead and change some of these. Maybe instead of this light purple color, I'd actually prefer that to be a little bit more of a teal. All right, I like this a lot better. Now this darker purple color, this is being used for my buttons and my header text here. What if we actually made that a dark blue instead? There we go. This is getting a lot more fun. All right, last but not least, we've got a light mint here. I think I'd prefer that to be more of a gray than a mint. So I'm going to pull that over to the side in my color picker, and I like this a lot better. Oops, except this purple is still a little too purple. Let's make that a darker gray kind of purple. I like that one a lot better. In fact, let's go slightly lighter with it so it kind of matches the space shirt and the frames of the windows. All right, maybe that's too light to read. I'm having way too much fun here with colors. You can see how easy it is to dig down into the design there. I like this style a lot better, so we're going to stick with that one. Then let's adjust this purple to more of a blue. And there we go. Everything in my website has been updated to match our new color palette. Let's hop out of here and talk about some of the other site style options. We have buttons and we have forms. Our form is on our contact page, so before we edit that, let's select save. Let's take a look at our contact page. And now let's scroll down here to click on our forms. Here we'll also find form packs. We can customize all of these, but the designers at Squarespace spend a lot of time making sure that these look great. So definitely explore some of these presets in case there's a style that you like that definitely matches your own vibe. You can choose one of these options and it will automatically update the form to match. Personally, I kind of like this one. This is pretty basic, pretty standard, pretty normal, but let's go ahead and go with it. I'm a fan. We'll go ahead and hop out of our forms here and let's select save and exit. We'll go back to our homepage by clicking on our site title. And last but not least, there's one more thing I want to add, and that is information in the footer of my website. We don't actually have a footer right now, so I'm going to select Edit. We'll scroll down here, and let's add a site footer. I'll select Add Section, and there are quite a few presets. These are definitely easy to work with, but we've got a really simple site, so I'm going to go ahead and start with this one right here. I don't want any social links, so I'm going to click on this content block and delete it. For site title, I'm going to change this to inside the square.co. And over here, let's update this to my own email, hello@insidethesquare.co. Perfect. Now, I also recommend linking to your legal pages if you have them. Again, this is not legal advice, but strongly recommended. So in fact, let's go ahead and create those so we can link to them. We'll select Save and Exit. And on the left-hand side of the screen here, I want you to notice this part that I'm circling. This is the not linked section. This is where I add my legal pages so they don't show up in my main navigation. I'll click this plus sign and we'll go ahead and select blank, add a blank page, and we'll call this one Terms and Conditions, except we'll make that lowercase. There we go. And to make this URL easy to remember, I'm going to click this gear icon right there, and we'll remove that text so it just says terms. So it'll be my website /terms, and that's how we reach that page. I can select Edit, Add Section, Add Blank, Section, and here we'll go ahead and just add a text block. And inside this text block, this is where I will paste my terms and conditions. This is not legal advice. I want to make sure I say that 1,000 times in this particular recording. This is not legal advice, but let's just say I've got that stuff ready to go. I'll copy and paste it here, and now I have a terms and conditions page. Let's go ahead and select Exit. We'll make one more page in the not linked section that's a blank one. This will be our privacy policy. We'll click on into privacy policy and add a blank section. In this blank section, we will add a text block, and here is where I will paste my privacy policy. All right, now just like we did for the terms and conditions page, let's make it easy to remember this URL. I'm going to click that gear icon and we'll change the URL select to privacy, so my website /privacy. We'll select Save, and now let's edit the footer of our website to link to those two pages. I'm going to select Edit, scroll down to the bottom and select Edit Site Footer, and let's go ahead and add two text-based links. I'm going to add a block of text, and here I will say Terms and Conditions, and I'll enter a new line and say Privacy Policy. And let's go ahead and move this to the center and scoot it down. Adding that content block, things got a little rearranged here, so I'm going to move my website name back up so it's in line with the email there. And double clicking on this text block, let's go ahead and place these together with a character separating them. We'll center the alignment here, and here I'm going to highlight the word privacy policy, and we'll link to /privacy. And then for terms and conditions, I'm going to highlight the text that says terms and conditions. We'll click this link, and we'll link to /terms. Perfect. It's a part of our hidden navigation. So now these links exist here in the footer of our website, but they don't exist anywhere else. And that is pretty important for the site design that I like. All right, we'll select Save and Exit. Let's take a look at our home page here. We've got a pretty good website started. On the right-hand side of our minimum viable site, we have Home, About, Services, Contact. We have titles and subtitles, buttons and images. We have a little scrolling marquee here, clickable drop-downs, and then someday when this video is finished, I can add it right there. We also have a services page, and we have a contact page, an about page, and in the not linked section, we have our privacy policy and terms and conditions. Using our site styles menu, we got pretty creative with the fonts, choosing one of the font packs that was already set, but we customized our button fonts right here. Inside our site styles menu, we also edited a color palette. We started with Edit Palette and we picked one of these presets, then clicked on these individual colors and customized it so it was uniquely ours. Last but not least, we also took a look at the forms to make sure that this was styled in the unique way that we wanted it to be styled for our own website design. I'll go ahead and select Exit because we're not quite done. Here inside Squarespace, we edited the site title to make sure that it matched our business. We edited the footer to have the title, a little information about how to reach us, and we linked to our terms and conditions and privacy policy. Now I'm realizing looking at this, the footer kind of blends with the rest of the website. So let's go ahead and select Edit. And scrolling down here, I'm going to select Edit Site Footer, and we're going to change the color of this section to one of the darker colors so it looks a little bit more unique. There we go. Do you want to change the header too? Let's go ahead and do that. We'll scroll up to the top here, select Edit Site Header, and we'll edit the design. There are a lot of different options for layouts. Maybe I want the links next to the title. Maybe I want them in the center and the title on the left. You can have a lot of fun exploring those. Figure out what works for your own unique style. But color is what we're here to talk about. Instead of adaptive, I'm going to select solid, and here I can pick one of my color themes. We'll go ahead and go for darkest one, and now we have a dark website header and light website content, so it has a higher contrast than it had before. We'll select save and exit, and let's take a look at our homepage one more time. Here we go. Now this looks even more unique. Now it's not the most professionally designed website in the world, but this is a pretty quick tutorial about how to build one without AI. Obviously, you're going to want to get pretty creative with your text, and I think you should start with more than one image if you can, but the point here is to show you just how easy it is to build a website with Squarespace in just a few minutes. Now, there are a lot of other settings to take a look at, like search engine optimization, and there are a lot of other important things that you can do for your website here, like connecting it to your domain. Underneath this video, I'll include links for all of that information in case you want to learn more. And there you have it, Squarespacer, a website built for humans by a human. Now, yes, there are a lot of other things that I want to do to this website as a professional website designer. This is barely scratching the surface for things like creative layouts, custom colors, higher contrast. There are a lot of other things that we can do. But the point of this video was to show you just how easy it is to get started without using AI. Now, I still want to encourage you to check out some of those pre-made layouts that are available in Squarespace, but I also want to mention underneath this video, you'll find a link to that blank template that we got started with. I also have links to some of my additional trainings, and I run a program called Go for Launch, where every single month I help people launch their minimum viable website. If you want to join us for the next launch, check out insidethesquare.co/launch. All right, we'll call it a wrap for this tutorial. Again, a ton of information in the links underneath this video, and I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions about Squarespace, let me know in the comments. And if you thought this video was really helpful, how to create a website without AI, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Again, I'm Becca from Inside the Square, and I'm here to help you make Squarespace uniquely yours. Thank you so much for watching, and most importantly, have fun with your Squarespace website. Bye for now.